Let's pretend for 1 second that you are a time traveler from the year 2020. It's the start of the pandemic. You are only experiencing the beginning stages of the raid on Onigashima. And if I were to come up to you and tell you that the return of Rob Lucci and Kaku and Egghead Island, the arc after Wano country, is only the 6th or 7th most important thing that happened in this arc, would you believe me? Probably not, because that sounds insane, but I'm afraid that is the case here. Come here. Get in close. Come here. Let me talk to you.
Let me talk to you!
One Piece has never been better than what it is at this current juncture. This is a huge statement. This is a lofty statement. But let's just take a second to look at the track record here. Ever since the end of Wano, ever since we left the shores of Wano, Oda has been cooking every single week with the hottest grease. No exceptions, no misses, all hits. It's insane the type of content we are blessed to receive from Oda on a week-to-week basis now. It feels like every single week we're given something to chomp our teeth into. We are given something to hold us over for the next 7 days before we get our next dosage of One Piece greatness. And you gotta really take the time to sit down and really process what we're reading here, because there was a time where we wished to be getting the things that we're getting here in real time. We used to wish to see Red Hair Shanks do anything. We used to wish to see Red Hair Shanks move a finger. If we seen a panel of Red Hair Shanks moving a finger, chapter of the year, no questions asked. I want you to think about this. Over the last 30 or so chapters, this is the most we have ever seen Shanks on panel in a short span of time, and that alone, that's wild to think about, considering this is a 26, almost 27-year-old story at this point in time. We've only seen Shanks, what, maybe a dozen times on screen? Foolishness.
Foolishness, Dante. Foolishness.
But I digress. All in all, we're still seeing Shanks, so that's always a net positive. More Shanks, good things. You know, I really don't want to spend too much time fangirling over Red Hair Shanks, but if I must, we have a named attack from Red Haired Shanks. Really take that in. Let that reverberate throughout your entire being, because we've seen Shanks fight, not to his maximum potential granted, but we've seen Shanks do a physical attack for the first time in this story, and that is just massive in and of itself. Really, the Egghead Island arc as a collective has been a really refreshing experience, and this goes for both the events that are transpiring on the island and off of the island as well, because as the tradition normally goes with these One Piece arcs, once we get to an island, we are stuck there. We are not going to find out what's happening elsewhere until the end of the arc, but in the case of Egghead Island, we are past that point in the story. We are now in the point of the story where big names are making their moves. There are all kinds of craziness happening in the One Piece world, so there's no time to just stay stuck on Egghead and then we find out what happened on, let's say, Marie Joie or Kababaka Kingdom after Egghead Island. This is a great change of pace compared to arcs of the past, and it's fitting because this is the final saga of One Piece. Once this is over, once this saga is over, that's it for One Piece, unless, God forbid, we get a sequel spin-off to One Piece. I don't know, Two Piece, and it's covering the son of Monkey D. Luffy, Monkey D. Buffy, and he wants to be the Pirate King's, I don't know, dude. Oda, please don't. No sequels. No, we don't need any of that tomfoolery.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
But back on course here. Once One Piece is over, that's it. So it makes sense for the story to be told in this fashion, to be told in a way that's displaying what's happening all across the world, as opposed to us saying being entirely focused on what's happening solely on Egghead Island and we find out what's happening elsewhere via newspaper or something. There are a lot of us who thought that when we seen Shanks and Kid come face to face, that we weren't gonna see that skirmish finish, and we're gonna find out what happened again via newspaper, via the news, like we usually tend to do And the same goes for Law and Teach as well. I remember thinking like, man, there is no way in hell we see this full fight unfold. And we didn't. It was in fact off screen, but at least it wasn't off screen to say the end of Egghead Island. We are in the midst of a massive arc, and we found out what happened to Law and Kid in the middle of this arc. That is unprecedented for One Piece, because Oda is usually the type to focus on one setting and one setting alone, but as is to be expected for the final saga of One Piece, it's balls to the wall. From now until the end of this series, we can firmly expect every chapter to be some level of craziness as we approach the fated finale. The very prospect and idea of that is indescribably exciting. All of the years Oda has put into hyping up characters like red-haired Shanks, Monkey D. Dragon, Monkey D. Garp, Blackbeard, and the genius Dr. Vegapunk is paying off in front of our very eyes. That's one of the advantages of having a world this massive, in my opinion. These characters and their roles in the story have yet to be fully explored, but now that we've experienced a great deal of the One Piece world ourselves, the time is now for the biggest names we know to go into action. I really have to commend Oda in how he's telling the story now. Egghead truly feels like a microcosm of what we can expect from the rest of the final saga, and this is clearly where the groundwork for the end is being planted. I mean, nothing quite says endgame like one of the 5 elders and an admiral coming to Egghead where the Straw Hat Pirates are. Do you know how fucking wild that is to even say out loud? One of the 5 elders whose name we now know, Saint Saturn by the way, he's coming to Egghead with Kizaru. This is what I'm talking about. One Piece is on fire. One Piece is hitting it off on every cylinder like never before. And to think this is just the beginning of the final saga, bro. What is the remainder of the final saga gonna possibly entail if it's one arc, if Egghead has been this amazing? Yo, like think about this. Not even 5 chapters ago, we seen Monkey D. Garp lay waste to an entire town square, and now, as of chapter 1082 of One Piece, we are eagerly anticipating, we are fiending to know what bombshell is Sabo about to drop on us. The same Sabo who we didn't even know was alive until last chapter is about to smack us upside the head with what I think, with I'm sure actually, is poised to be the single biggest bombshell in One Piece history. And that right there is just another testament into what I'm saying here. One Piece has never been better. We are witnessing a hot streak that puts the sun to shame. What the hell is the sun? Look at One Piece. One Piece is brighter than the sun. One Piece is hotter than the sun itself right now. And that's not me just saying that, bro. That is a fact of life.
Yeah! 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 Yeah!
If you've read your fair share of shonen manga like I have, then those words final saga inject a sort of fear into you that you can't quite understand nor describe to anybody else. But when you hear final saga, it gives you chills. It sends shivers down your spines. It sends a pathological response to your brain that something ain't right here. Something is afoot, something's off here. But in the case of One Piece, it's never been made more apparent that the author writing the story has this down pat, like he's Michael Jordan in the prime of his day, in the springtime of his youth. Eiichiro Oda is on a roll that we will never see again in our lifetimes. One Piece is a generational tale like no other. One Piece, when it's all said and done, when it's long over and you and me are long dead, One Piece will stand the test of time. It's going to be passed down from generation to generation. So we are very fortunate to be able to consume this once in a lifetime story while we are here living on this crazy rock in the middle of nowhere space. It really doesn't get any better than this. This final saga of One Piece has started on such a strong note. One can't help but to ponder, how is the end gonna top this? But you know, in One Piece, it only gets better, and there is no doubt in my mind that what Oda has planned for the end of One Piece, for the finale of One Piece, that is going to put everything we've experienced in this long ass series to shame. If you know anybody out there who is not watching One Piece, do me a favor, do them a favor. By any means necessary, make these people watch One Piece. Come here. I don't think you're really taking in what I'm saying, but come here. Come here. Make these people watch or read One Piece. That is your mission. That is the task I'm assigning you. You convince any person you know to start this series. Not for my sake, not for your sake, but for their sake. You can't let anybody miss out on this greatness. Am I understood? Good. I'm going to end this video on this note. One Piece is the greatest of all time. That's all I got to say.